It often starts subtly. An extra tangle of hair in your brush, a few more strands circling the shower drain, a noticeable thinning at your part when you catch your reflection in a harshly lit mirror. At first, you might dismiss it. Stress, a new shampoo, maybe it's just the season. But when the shedding persists, becoming a source of quiet anxiety, you start searching for a culprit. The answer, for millions, lies not on their scalp, but nestled in their neck. A small butterfly-shaped gland that holds an astonishing degree of power over the entire body, including the life, death, and rebirth of every single hair on your head. This is the story of the thyroid, and how its silent struggles can shout from the rooftops, or in this case, from your hairbrush. To understand how a small gland can wield such influence, we must first appreciate its central role in the body's grand orchestra. The thyroid gland is the master of metabolism. Think of it as the engine management system of your body. It produces two primary hormones, thyroxine, T4, and triiodothyronin, T3, which it releases into the bloodstream. These hormones travel to nearly every cell in your body, instructing them on how fast to work, how much energy to burn, and how quickly to grow and repair. They regulate your heart rate, your body temperature, your digestion, your mood, and critically, the growth of your skin, nails, and hair. The entire operation is managed by a delicate feedback loop. The pituitary gland in your brain acts as the control center, producing thyroid-stimulating hormone, TSH. When thyroid hormone levels in the blood are low, the pituitary releases more TSH, telling the thyroid to get to work. When levels are high, it dials back TSH production, telling the thyroid to slow down. It's an exquisitely balanced system, but when this balance is lost, the consequences ripple throughout the body. The connection between thyroid function and hair health is profound and direct. Each hair on your head goes through a three-phase life cycle. The first and longest phase is the anagen, or growth phase, which can last for several years. During this time, cells in the hair follicle divide rapidly to create new hair growth. The second phase is the catagen, a short transitional phase where growth stops. Finally, there is the telogen, or resting phase. The hair follicle is dormant for a few months before the hair is eventually shed, making way for a new anagen hair to begin its journey. Thyroid hormones T3 and T4 are essential regulators of this cycle. They act directly on the hair follicle stem cells and dermal papilla cells, helping to initiate and maintain the anagen phase. They essentially give the follicle the go signal to grow and the energy to sustain that growth. When thyroid hormone levels are optimal, roughly 85 to 90% of your hair is in the anagen phase at any given time, resulting in a full, healthy head of hair. When the thyroid malfunctions, this intricate cycle is one of the first and most visible systems to be thrown into disarray. This disruption can manifest in two opposing ways: hypothyroidism, where the gland is underactive, and hyperthyroidism, where it is overactive. Let's first explore hypothyroidism, the more common of the two conditions. In this state, the thyroid gland fails to produce enough T3 and T4. The body's entire metabolism slows down, as if the engine were sputtering and running on fumes. For the hair, this lack of hormonal signaling has a devastating effect. Without adequate T3 and T4 to stimulate them, a large number of hair follicles prematurely exit the anagen, growth phase, and enter the telogen, resting phase. This results in a type of hair loss known as telogen effluvium. It's not typically a patchy loss like alopecia areata, but rather a diffuse, generalized thinning across the entire scalp. The hair that does remain often changes in texture, becoming dry, brittle, coarse, and dull. It breaks easily and can seem lifeless. This process is slow and insidious. You may not notice clumps of hair falling out at once, but over months, you'll perceive a significant loss of volume and density. A classic, though not universal, sign of hypothyroidism is the loss of the outer third of the eyebrows, a condition known as matarosis, or Queen Anne sign. Hair loss can also occur on other parts of the body, including the legs, arms, and underarms. Of course, the hair is just one part of a larger clinical picture.
People with hypothyroidism often experience a constellation of other symptoms, all related to this metabolic slowdown. Profound fatigue, unexplained weight gain, constant cold intolerance, dry and pale skin, muscle aches, constipation, brain fog, and depression. On the flip side is hyperthyroidism, where the thyroid gland is in overdrive, flooding the body with an excess of T3 and T4. The body's engine is now redlining. While you might think more hormones would mean more hair growth, the opposite is true. The biological systems are running too fast, in a state of high stress and accelerated turnover. This metabolic chaos also disrupts the hair growth cycle, but in a slightly different way. The cycle is sped up, shortening the lifespan of each hair and causing it to shed prematurely. This also leads to a diffuse thinning across the scalp, a telogen effluvium similar in pattern to that seen in hypothyroidism. However, the hair texture may be different. Instead of coarse and brittle, the hair in hyperthyroidism is often described as being very fine, soft, and silky, but it is weak and prone to falling out. The scalp may feel warm, and you might sweat more. The other symptoms of hypothyroidism paint a picture of a body running out of control. Unintentional weight loss despite an increased appetite, a rapid or irregular heartbeat, anxiety and irritability, hand tremors, sensitivity to heat, sleep disturbances, and sometimes bulging eyes, a sign specific to Graves' disease. In both hypothyroidism and hyperthyroidism, the fundamental problem is the same: the disruption of the hair follicle's normal, hormonally regulated life cycle, leading to excessive shedding and a visible reduction in hair density. It's crucial to understand that for the majority of individuals, these thyroid disorders are not simply a case of a gland wearing out. They are most often autoimmune in nature. This means the body's own immune system, designed to fight off foreign invaders like bacteria and viruses, mistakenly identifies the thyroid gland as an enemy and launches an attack. The most common cause of hypothyroidism in iodine-sufficient parts of the world is Hashimoto's thyroiditis. In this condition, the immune system produces antibodies that attack and gradually destroy the thyroid tissue, crippling its ability to produce hormones. Conversely, the most common cause of hyperthyroidism is Graves' disease. Here, the immune system produces a different kind of antibody, one that mimics TSH. This antibody, called thyroid-stimulating immunoglobulin, latches onto the thyroid gland and relentlessly stimulates it to produce an uncontrolled excess of hormones. Recognizing this autoimmune component is vital because it adds another layer to the hair loss puzzle. Individuals with one autoimmune condition are at a higher risk of developing others, including alopecia areata, an autoimmune disease that causes distinct patchy hair loss. Therefore, a person with Hashimoto's could be experiencing diffuse thinning from the hormonal imbalance and, concurrently, developing patchy bald spots from alopecia areata, complicating the diagnosis and treatment.
Given the vague and overlapping nature of the symptoms, a proper diagnosis is absolutely essential and cannot be based on symptoms alone. If you suspect a thyroid issue, the first step is a consultation with a physician, who will likely start with a physical examination and a detailed history. They may feel your neck to check for any enlargement of the thyroid gland, a goiter, or nodules. The definitive diagnosis, however, comes from blood tests. The single most important test is for TSH. In primary hypothyroidism, where the problem is the thyroid itself, the pituitary gland will be working overtime to stimulate the struggling gland, so TSH levels will be high. In hyperthyroidism, the excess T3 and T4 in the blood will tell the pituitary to shut down, so TSH levels will be very low, often undetectable. Following the TSH test, a doctor will typically measure the levels of the actual thyroid hormones, specifically free T4 and free T3. Free refers to the hormone that is unbound and biologically active in the bloodstream. In hypothyroidism, free T4 is usually low. In hyperthyroidism, both free T4 and free T3 are typically elevated. To determine if the cause is autoimmune, further tests for thyroid antibodies are ordered.
Thyroid peroxidase antibodies, TPO-AB, are the hallmark of Hashimoto's, while thyroid-stimulating immunoglobulins, TSI, or TRA, TSH receptor antibodies, confirm Graves' disease. Once a diagnosis is confirmed, treatment can begin, and with it, the journey to hair recovery. The treatment for hypothyroidism is, in principle, straightforward: hormone replacement therapy. The standard of care is a daily dose of a synthetic T4 hormone called levothyroxine. This medication replaces the hormone your thyroid can no longer make. The goal is to find the precise dose that brings your TSH and T4 levels back into the optimal range. This is not an overnight fix. It can take several weeks or even months of regular blood tests and dosage adjustments to find the right balance. It is only after your thyroid levels have been stable for a significant period that the body can begin to divert energy back to non-essential processes like robust hair growth. Treatment for hyperthyroidism is more complex and has three main routes. The first is anti-thyroid medications like methimazole, which work by blocking the thyroid's ability to produce new hormones. The second option is radioactive iodine therapy, where a patient swallows a small, safe dose of radioactive iodine. The thyroid gland absorbs the iodine, and the radiation then selectively destroys the overactive thyroid cells, reducing hormone production. This often results in permanent hypothyroidism, which is then managed with levothyroxine. The third option is surgery, thyroidectomy, to remove all or part of the thyroid gland, which is also a permanent solution that necessitates lifelong hormone replacement.
For those suffering from hair loss, the most pressing question is, when will my hair grow back? This is where patience becomes paramount. The hair loss you see today is the result of a disruption that happened 3 to 4 months ago due to the length of the telogen phase. Similarly, once treatment begins and hormone levels stabilize, it will take at least that long for the shedding to slow down and for new hairs to begin their anagen phase. The hair growth cycle is slow. New hairs grow at a rate of about ½ an inch per month. It can easily take 6 to 12 months after achieving hormonal balance to see a noticeable improvement in hair density and volume. During this waiting period, it's common to feel discouraged, but it is a crucial part of the biological process of recovery. The shed hairs are gone for good. The recovery you see is the growth of entirely new hair from previously dormant follicles. While medication is the cornerstone of treatment, nutritional and lifestyle factors play a powerful supporting role in optimizing thyroid function and promoting hair regrowth. Nutrition is particularly key. Iodine is the essential building block for thyroid hormones, but it's a double-edged sword. Both too little and too much can disrupt thyroid function. Selenium is a vital mineral that helps convert the less active T4 hormone into the more potent T3 hormone. Just a few Brazil nuts a day can provide the required amount. Zinc is also involved in this conversion process and is crucial for hair follicle health. Perhaps one of the most critical nutrients to assess is iron. Iron deficiency, specifically low levels of stored iron, ferritin, is a very common cause of hair loss on its own and can severely exacerbate thyroid-related shedding. Many endocrinologists will not even consider hair loss to be solely thyroid-related until ferritin levels are in an optimal range, often above 70 nanograms per ml. Other key nutrients include vitamin D, which plays a role in immune modulation, and B vitamins, which are essential for cellular energy and growth. Lifestyle adjustments are also incredibly beneficial. Chronic stress is a major enemy of both thyroid health and hair growth. High levels of the stress hormone cortisol can suppress TSH and inhibit the conversion of T4 to T3. It can also independently trigger telogen effluvium. Incorporating stress management techniques like meditation, yoga, deep breathing, or spending time in nature can have a tangible positive effect. Prioritizing sleep is equally important, as this is when the body undertakes most of its repair and hormonal regulation.
Finally, being gentle with your hair during the recovery phase can help preserve what you have. This means avoiding harsh chemical treatments, excessive heat styling, and tight hairstyles that pull on the follicles. Using a gentle sulfate-free shampoo and a nourishing conditioner can help improve the texture of dry, brittle hair.
We cannot discuss this topic fully without acknowledging the profound psychological and emotional impact of hair loss. In our society, hair is deeply intertwined with identity, femininity, masculinity, and self-esteem. Losing it can feel like losing a part of yourself. It can lead to social anxiety, a desire to hide from the world, and a constant obsessive focus on one's appearance. The frustration is often compounded by the invisible nature of the underlying illness. Friends and family may not understand the depth of the distress, dismissing it as a matter of vanity. It's important to validate these feelings. The grief and anxiety are real and deserve to be addressed. Seeking support, whether from a therapist, a support group, or trusted loved ones, can be an invaluable part of the healing process. It reminds you that you are not alone and that your worth is not defined by the density of your hair. Navigating the complexities of thyroid disorders requires a team approach. Your primary care physician is your starting point, but an endocrinologist, a specialist in hormone disorders, is the expert who can fine-tune your treatment for optimal results. They understand the nuances of TSH, T3, and T4 levels and can make the subtle adjustments needed to help you feel your best. In addition, consulting a dermatologist, particularly one who specializes in hair loss, sometimes called a trichologist, can be immensely helpful. A dermatologist can confirm that the hair loss pattern is indeed consistent with telogen effluvium and rule out other coexisting causes, like androgenetic alopecia or alopecia areata. They can also offer supportive treatments to encourage regrowth, such as topical minoxidil, which can help stimulate follicles and shorten the telogen phase. In conclusion, the journey from noticing that first increase in shedding to understanding its link to the thyroid gland is a journey into the intricate and interconnected biology of the human body. Hair loss is not the disease, it is a symptom, a visible signal that a fundamental system is out of balance. While the path to diagnosis can be winding and the recovery process frustratingly slow, there is immense hope. Thyroid-related hair loss is, in the vast majority of cases, reversible. With an accurate diagnosis, consistent and properly managed treatment, and supportive lifestyle and nutritional strategies, the body's metabolic engine can be restored. The delicate dance of the hair growth cycle can resume its natural rhythm, and over time, new life will once again begin to sprout. It requires patience, diligence, and a partnership with knowledgeable healthcare providers, but reclaiming your health, and with it, the health of your hair, is an achievable and worthy goal.